All right, everybody, welcome back to the number one television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing Daniel Silva, A Death in Vienna, book number... I should look these up. It's book number 5, 6, 7, or 8 in his Gabriel Allon spy thriller series set all over the world. It's a very exotic type of spy thriller where we go to all sorts of cool places in the world. And we visit a lot of cool places in this book, I'll tell you. This one came out in 2004. Now let's talk about the cover first, because you know I love graphic design and cover illustration. It's good, it's great. I mean, they always have some elegant covers for the Daniel Silva book. This looks like a scene in Vienna, obviously. I've got all the Daniel Silva books down here. We'll pan through the library. I've got them all down here by my Jack Reacher collection. Those are my Daniel Silva books. Anyway, I can't, there's a lot of books in this series. I mean, I'm just looking at it. We got to be approaching 30 books in the series at this point. So I've got a lot of reading to do if I want to read and review all of them for the channel. But here we are, book number whatever. This is book. We already discussed that. Let's talk about the book. It starts in Vienna. A man named Levon is injured in a bombing that kills his coworkers and stuff. So that's how the thing opens, with a big explodey explosion. Then we get to Gabriel Allon, our main character, who is the main character in all the books that I've been talking about. The Gabriel Allon series of books. Now, Gabriel Allon, he's an art restorer. He's the type of guy, well, he is the guy. He's the exact type of guy. He is the exact guy that, all the paintings in Europe that are getting old and flaking off and like turning different colors and fading in the sun or whatever the fuck happens to them, getting mold on them, whatever. He is an art restorer. He's a good enough artist that he can mimic the style of any artist, even the old-timey artists. And that's what he does. And so at the beginning of this book, we see him art restoring a Bellini painting in, it's Venice he's working at, and he's got a little crew of people that he works with. And we get to know that little crew a little bit, and they're kind of how they interact with each other. And then, of course, Gabriel Allon is then recruited into being a spy again. He's an art restorer / spy. But for the purposes of these books, he's mostly spy. And we only get glimpses of him as an art restorer at the beginning and end of each book. But that's cool. I like that. I think that's a great setup. Sometimes I enjoy the art restoration parts a little more than the spycraft parts. But I just like this character a lot. So he gets recruited to go figure out who did this bombing in Vienna, and he's a little reluctant to go to Vienna because Vienna, Austria is one of the cities that it's very hard for him to think about or even go to, because that was where his wife died. So he doesn't really want to go back there because it's going to bring up memories. But he goes back anyway, and he understands that he knows the person that was injured in the explosion. And so he has to go try to suss out who the bomber is. That's basically the gist of the plot. Of course, it evolves and morphs into a lot more than just that, which I really appreciated, because in his journey he meets a Holocaust survivor, and then we get the details we get some flashback scenes through letters and things like that, and other things where we learn about the Holocaust and these Holocaust survivors and the things they went through, how they were treated in the horrors of Dachau prison camp, of Joseph Mengele, of Auschwitz, of how the treatment of the Jews was just at that time, just like, oh my God. And the death march of, I think it's Birkenau. I don't know how to pronounce that. The death march of Birkenau. We get a long story about that, told from the perspective of a relative of Gabriel Allon, and I love that part. I was riveted to that part. Oh my God, that part was so heartbreaking. And you just learn a lot about what it was like in Europe at the time of the Nazi regime, when they were first starting these death camps and killing people. And I'm also reading slowly, very slowly, The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. I'm reading it for the third time in my life, and I'm just fascinated with World War II stuff. And so all of this just the same time reading Rise and Fall of the Third Reich and then reading this and a few other books that I've read lately that talk about Nazi Germany. And of course, now, not to get political, but, you know, I am doing this review right 2 weeks into Donald Trump's second time as president. And I got to tell you, this is my opinion. The people that compare what Donald Trump is doing to Nazi Germany irritate the fuck out of me, because it's not even the same at all. But that's just that's just me. That's just me. You can cancel me if you want. I don't give a fuck. But I'm just like, what really happened in the pages of this book that Daniel Silva describes, what really happened in the Rise of the Fall of the Third Reich is just so, there's no comparison to anything that's happening in America right now. I mean, there's no comparison. You can't compare it. It's an insult to compare it, is what I think. Anyway, let's move on. Hunt for Forgotten Nazis. This is a book about the hunt for forgotten Nazis, Nazis that escaped Germany, that went to Argentina. In fact, we even go to Argentina in here. We go to a lot of cool places in this book. Argentina, Austria, Jerusalem, a lot of different places. We get to learn the family history of Gabriel Allon. We get to, I mean, that's kind of it. It's a book where you discover, as you go, you discover like the generational trauma of the Holocaust. You discover Gabriel Allon's family history a little bit more, as we also search for who did the bombing that happened at the beginning of the story, and so much more. It's actually one of my, I like all of the Gabriel Allon novels. This is, on my reread of this, it's actually been one of my favorite rereads. And so this is like a really almost perfect thriller. Daniel Silva's writing is engaging. It's easy to read. The prose is good. The descriptions of the towns and cities we visit is excellent. And the characterizations are great. And the history lessons, you can glean whatever you want from the history of this. But I gleaned what I gleaned, and I appreciate when authors put that kind of stuff in their books. That's why I read thrillers. And, that's why I read Jack Carr, Brad Thor, John le Carré, Daniel Silva. Every single one of the authors I just mentioned has a diametrically opposing political, Daniel Silva is clearly on the left. Jack Carr is clearly on the right. I mean, I love both authors equally. But when you're a reasonable person, you can do that. Unreasonable people cannot see beyond their own noses. But anyway, that's the most political I will ever get on this channel. It's probably even too much. But anyway, let's, wait. That's until I do my review of Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. I don't know what I might say. I might not even review that on the channel, because I got some opinions. Okay, there we go. 10 out of 10.